Welcome to Headlines of the Future, brought to you by Bayer. I'm Bev Flatt, and I'll be your host today. I'm a first-generation farmer in the United States, an advocate for feeding a hungry planet, and a regular listener of the Headlines of the Future podcast. We hope you enjoy this chapter, a tribute to the men and women who are facing war by staying in the fields to work the land and continue producing food. One such person is my friend and fellow farmer, Kees. Kees, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
My name is Kees Huizinga. I'm a Dutch farmer farming in Ukraine. I've been farming here now for 20 years. We farm on 15,000 hectares, which is around 40,000 acres. We also have 2,000 milking cows, 450,000 and 300 hectares of onions and carrots with drip irrigation. And the crops we grow is wheat, winter barley, winter canola, sugar beets, sunflower, corn, and soybeans.
That keeps you very busy, it sounds like.
Oh, sometimes it does, sometimes it don't.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what it's like right now being a farmer while there is war happening in your country?
No, it's a war happening, and luckily we are in an area where there's no bombs and rockets falling. Although we had a rocket launched from an airplane exploding in the middle of our village, but luckily nobody got hurt. In normal times that doesn't happen. No, there's no bombs or rockets exploding here. So yeah, we can go out planting, but it's difficult to get fuel, diesel fuel. Fertilizer is difficult. Seeds we managed to get. But I just got also a text message from a colleague in Sumi, that's in the northeast, and he really has difficulties getting fuel. They still don't really have access to diesel fuel. They will still have problems planting.
So food security is a concern even when there are times of peace. And now we're having to address it while there are times of war. And there's an even bigger magnification on it. How do you think that this is going to impact food security for the world?
There will be more than 10% less seaborne trade. Normally, the markets get panicked, if there's a drought in the Corn Belt, and there you will have, and that has an impact of like maybe 1 or 2% on the seaborne trade. And now the traders are estimating over 10%. So they can't imagine what the consequences will be for world food security. And it will be the poor countries suffering from this, like Northern Africa, the Middle East, East Africa. And for example, there was an article in The Guardian a few weeks ago. It said before the war there were already close to 1.5 million children under 5 years of age malnourished. And they got a lot of food from the United Nations World Food Program, and they buy like 50% of their food from Ukraine. So yeah, that stuff won't arrive there. And now we're in the middle of the planting season, so now it's kind of already too late. And next chance is next year. But if this keeps dragging on, we as farmers in Ukraine won't be able to sell our product, but because the ports in the Black Sea are closed, the fertilizer won't be available. We won't have any money, so we won't be able to buy fuel. So then next year, the harvest of 2023 will also be gone. So then the problems worldwide will only become bigger. That people in general have kind of grown loose from farming. People don't really know where their food comes from. And that's, in this case, it will be a huge problem.
I think that's a really good point. A lot of people, when they think of food security, think the responsibility only lies with the farmers who are growing the food. But really, it's the responsibility of everyone. Our listeners are primarily people who aren't on farms. So what would you ask of those listeners when it comes to helping create a more food secure world?
Yeah, for a food secure world you need peace, and you have to have good agricultural policies around the world, and you have to respect where your food comes from. You have to be sure that your food is safe. So that's something you can demand from farmers, but you also have to respect farmers. And you have to learn about farming, and you don't have to know all the details, of course. But for example, my wife was giving some talks to the school classes, like 4th, 5th, 6th grade schools. And she was asking the kids what's happening on the fields right now. and they didn't know. They say, harvesting, but you do in the summer and in the fall. And now it's time of planting, and if you don't plant, you can't harvest. So that's some basic knowledge people should have about food. You have to know how vulnerable all those food supply chains are.
Thank you, Kees.